I have a video that I made on Mars in the sign of Taurus and what that placement is about. And I talked a lot about sensuality, taking a breath, stability, security, and all of those themes in that video. So I'll put the link for that below and you can go watch that separately. However, I wanted to make this separate video going over the more specific details to really hone in on the aspects that Mars is making and how incredibly significant and important these aspects are. So the first one, which is going on now, and it will be going on for a good part of this month, will be Mars making a square to Pluto. And squares aren't easy. There is a confrontation with the square. So if you have two people in a room from different sides of the spectrum and you put them at the meeting table, someone supports this political party, the other person supports this political party. Well, they're going to clash, and that is what a square is. So Mars is the god of war, the god of anything having to do with all the blood coming out from people's skin after they have been on the battlefield and they have fought with their sweat and tears also, because it's really the fire that comes with Mars. And then Pluto is very, very intense, and it runs down into those deep currents of what true power feels like, of what the raw feeling and desire, and desires and feelings, because it's plural, because there's more than one, and we're all human, and we all have those things going on, with us on the psychological level. And when Pluto was discovered, psychology, digging into the human psyche and find out all the stuff that goes on in there, um, really became very up in the charts. So with this, there's a lot of themes of power, because Pluto, the glyph of Pluto stands for a P, and P is power. And so at the time Pluto was discovered, there was plutonium, just to throw that in there. But so there's power, either other people having the power of kings or queens, sitting on the throne and domineering over other people and taking out their own individual juices from them, in a type of way. Control is found here, with Mars ruling areas. It can be very straight, and very honest and very real. It is in the nature of those, um, individuals, based off of certain times and certain feelings. And so there is going to be that level of intensity with this aspect as well. Pluto and Mars are both very primal, and Mars rules both Aries and Scorpio. It is the ancient ruler of Scorpio. Bear that in mind before the discovery of Pluto. And, we can really, the heat will be up, and it's a question of, are you going to be stagnant, or are you going to really fight and give power, but used in the best way as opposed to the way that leads to the low road of using power, showing power. And so there's also some things, because, Pluto looks at what is real and what is, truth. I can really, really link to truth as well. And so the big thing that is going to be happening at the end of this month is that Mars is joining Uranus. They are partnering up at the end of July, beginning of August. And Mars, and I didn't clarify the signs that Mars and Pluto were in. Mars is in Taurus and Pluto in Capricorn. So, practical power, practical control, with very logical and left brain decisions and observations coming in as well, possibly. And so Mars in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus, shaking up so many things: the food supply, the stock markets, our money, our currency, agriculture, all those arenas of life. And then Mars in Taurus is really motivated to create something that is going to last and is going to be very much stable and secure. And so with these two coming together, it could be eruptive, it could be volatile, more, what's going to go on with the stock market, what's going to go on with, extreme earth events like earthquakes and volcanoes, and something eruptive just coming out of the blue, like a train, like coming out of the tunnel, just all of a sudden. You didn't expect it. And with Mars, it's very, head on in its effect. Very, forthright. But so, it's a really wonderful invitation to be a maverick, to be an independent go-getter in your life. And to break out of a certain system or a certain way of doing things that has held you back as well. And to challenge yourself in mindful ways, to test yourself in ways that, are not going to be risky to the point of, just being, too risky or too much. But doing things, taking risks with caution, if I didn't say that before. So being aware of the risks that you're taking, and do things with purpose. Act and fight and suddenly decide to burst out and start something new with purpose. Rebel for the sake of rebelling as well, because this can be very, very rebellious. So rebel with compassion and care as well. So these are some very important and huge Mars aspects, and also Uranus is joining the North Node. So we can really, our destiny is to find, to really heal parts of ourselves that are not healed, and to do a lot of Taurian things in our lives. Enjoy the moment, the smells, to breathe, and, feel everything out, and to plod very, very carefully through actually manifesting and acting upon what you want, what you need to do in your own life and experience. So don't be stagnant upon things that you want to do, act upon them and take them up, off, and on the ground. So, yeah, it's not about, thinking about it, just speaking about it won't do anything. Skating around the bush, beating around the bush, no. It's just to take action and to do it. Just do it. So, thank you for tuning in. Subscribe, like, share, and hit the notification bell to get notified about future videos. Bye for now.